I'm Kesenya and welcome to this week's Astro Weather Report. I'm your Astro Weather Girl and we've got some fabulous weather unfolding in the astrological skies this week. It's all about Virgo, Virgo, Virgo. So get ready, let's explore what's coming up for us in the week ahead. Now, I watch a lot of astrology videos every week. Usually I go for a walk and listen to them while I'm on my daily walk. And I've heard a lot of astrologers saying that things are quite dire now, that this coming new moon that's about to unfold for us in the sign of Virgo, it means dire things for the state of humanity, for the earth, for the environment, because of course Virgo is an earth sign. And that because of the particular alignment that we're having, you can see it over here, we're going to be having on the 30th of August, the Sun, the Moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars, boom, in a big conglomeration of 5 planets here in the sign of Virgo. And because of this, many astrologers are saying, watch out, doom and gloom. This is not going to be good for the world. We can expect big changes in our seasons to result from this time forward. We can expect to have failures of crops and not enough food and all sorts of things along that line. And look, that may very well be the case. I'm not usually someone who likes to spread doom and gloom. I believe there is shadow and light in everything in the skies, and it's up to us as human beings to make decisions regarding what we see and work as best we can with the planetary energies that are out there and available to us. So the same goes for this current configuration in the sky. I don't see it as bad, but I'll talk about that more in a little minute. However, who knows, maybe these astrologers spreading this worrying information, it might not be too far from the truth. I mean, if we look at the lungs of the world currently on fire in Brazil and the Amazon forest, who knows, maybe that is correct, that this period of time is heralding a big change in our seasons, maybe brought about by so much of the Amazon going up in smoke. Who knows that it will affect our food crops? Who knows? But this is one of the theories currently doing the rounds in astrological circles right now. And of course, we've got this terrible situation in South America that's sort of feeding into this feeling as well. But what I see in this week's sky is really quite beautiful. I see the ways, yes, I see a big connection and a stellium of, really intense planets playing out in Virgo. And I'll talk more about Virgo and how it's been maligned throughout history in just a minute. But what I see is some really fabulous universal support that is happening with regard to this new moon and all these planets in the sign of Virgo. So I see that there is always a way out from any tension and any stress, globally and personally. And indeed, that is the case this week. We're going to be exploring that shortly. But let's look more at this energy here in the sign of Virgo. We have 5 planets, as I've said, and not only that, a brand new moon occurring on the 30th when the sun and the moon unite in the sky. And this is always a special time of new beginnings, of setting intentions, of looking ahead and planning what we will do with the next 2 weeks until we strike a full moon, which will occur for us in 2 weeks' time in the sign of Pisces. Yay! But it is a time for looking ahead, for setting intentions, for even, particularly in the sign of Virgo, doing rituals and ceremonies around our intentions. I cannot stress this enough, underline it. This is important. Virgo, let's get stuck into what Virgo energy is. Virgo is the archetype in shamanic astrology of the priestess. And of course, rituals connected to the seasons and cycles of the earth are very important when we have Virgo strong in the chart. And we've all got Virgo somewhere as well in our chart too. Not only that, but at the moment when, this will happen later on in the Virgo season, but the moment when the sun moves from Virgo into Libra, that's when we have our equinox. Spring in the southern hemisphere and autumn equinox in the northern hemisphere. So that is a very significant ritualistic seasonal ceremonial time in the history of things, where for the Northern Hemisphere it was harvest. For the Southern Hemisphere, it is entering into our spring. And so we have this very seasonal celebratory period here when the sun moves from Virgo, the sign of the priestess, into the sign of Libra. So this illustrates, I guess, for us the point that this is a very ritualistic and ceremonial type of sign. Virgo is a sign that finds its fulfillment when it's connected well to the rhythms of the earth and the cycles of life. This is an earth sign, and it's the priestess energy, as I said, so it's very much the earth priestess. It's very connected to seasonal ceremonies. It's connected to Gaia, the mother earth, and all of these things that are summed up with this new moon in Virgo. It's considered to be the harvest moon. There we go, another ceremonial kind of indicator. Around harvest time, once the harvest was gathered in ancient times, people would celebrate the gathering in of the harvest. Very much connected to the cycles and the rhythms and the seasons of the earth that we see through Virgo, the earth priestess. So she's also, and she's a feminine sign, but this applies to men and women. Virgo strong people tend to be very impersonal givers. They're givers. Definitely it's a giver type sign, but it is opposite Pisces, which is very much the empathic giver, the giver from a place of, I feel your pain, let me help you. That's the Pisces energy. Virgo is much more focused on giving time and attention to help people without that personal attachment. It's much more detached, actually. So they're very focused, Virgo strong people, on giving their time and attention to their sacred work. As I've just illustrated, it is a sacred type sign, which is about ceremony and rituals that are very earthy and very grounded type ceremony and ritual. So your sacred work, as seen by the sign of Virgo, need not be being the earth priestess and need not be conducting rituals. I mean, it probably feels really nice to you if you have a strong Virgo to do such things, to hold a ceremonial party for all your friends on, solstice night or those sorts of things, and make a very significant statement about these cycles. That might feel really good to you, but your sacred work need not be connected to those sorts of things. In fact, sacred work, and we see Virgo as the significator of our sacred work in our chart, the 6th house and Virgo both, and the sacred work need not be those sort of ritualistic kind of things, but it can be that your sacred work as a Virgo person might be to be the best graphic designer you can possibly be. Or you might be establishing a cafe and you want to make it as perfect as it can possibly be. Or you might be some kind of engineer and you're really detailed and really focused on creating the best bridges or the best cars or the best electrical mechanisms or whatever it is that you design as an engineer. That is where you put your perfectionism. Virgo is very, very much a perfection-oriented sign, but that's because it is very dedicated to its sacred work, whatever that work happens to be. It doesn't even have to be like a job that earns money. Your sacred work might simply be that you like to make the world a more beautiful place because you've been here. You might like to flip houses as one of your hobbies. That was certainly the case with me and my ex-husband. It was one of our hobbies. And that was our sacred work. We wanted to leave the world a more beautiful place because we'd fixed up some old ugly house and garden and made it beautiful. Made it a place somebody wanted to actually come home to and live in. That was something we considered to be our sacred work, even though it wasn't our job. Virgo is about our sacred work, and it will give towards, it's this impartial giving energy towards your sacred work, investment in your sacred work. So it gives to people, yes, but it's done in an impartial way, and really it gives to its sacred work, whatever that happens to look like for you. As I said, Virgo finds fulfillment in the rhythms and cycles of the earth, but it's also intent on restoring balance. This is a very big significator of a strong Virgo personality. Somebody who likes to perfect things that are not perfect. Sometimes we describe that as fixing problems. Sometimes that might be just simply making things right in the world. It doesn't necessarily mean it's a problem, but we want to make things better. We want to improve things. Very much the quality of Virgo. This is what gives Virgo its reputation as being very critical, a very critical sign. It's simply, and this is without malice, it wants to call attention to what is not working, what is not right, what is not balanced, what is not harmonious. And it points it out, not in a way to sort of offend you, not in a way to sort of make you feel, this big. That's not the intention of Virgo. It's pointing out, if a Virgo person is ever critical towards you, it will usually be coming from a desire to right something that's not working, that's not right, that it sees as being less than what it could be. So sometimes Virgo comes across as a very critical sign, but the intent is never personal. Like I said, it's a very impartial energy. It's almost quite a detached energy. It's about, I just want to make things right. Why are you overreacting? How come you don't understand what I'm trying to do here? I want to improve things. This is very much the energy of Virgo wanting to restore balance into life, perfection. Now, Daniel Guillamario, in his work on shamanic astrology, describes Virgo as one of the most violated and maligned archetypes in the whole of the zodiac, which is really, really interesting. And this is particularly, he has found, since the rise of patriarchy to be the case. Now, since patriarchy became the predominant force, shall we say, marriage and family has been given over as the primary domain for women. Now, with Virgo, these aren't strong priorities. Yes, Virgo people make really dedicated, committed mothers and wives. Yep, definitely. But they're more connected to the Earth Mother energy rather than the personal mother energy. And for them, it's about their sacred work. So tough luck to you if you were a Virgo woman in times of patriarchy and you felt that you had a calling to be the Celtic priestess, or you felt you had a calling to be the tribal medicine woman. Bad luck. I'm sorry, but you've got to go raise a family. That's the only domain that we can give you. So Virgo women, and men too, who have this in their charts, have been very much maligned. Now, more so the women than the men, simply because Virgo women have been put in this mother box, whereas men could go out and pursue their sacred work, whatever that happened to look like, through their careers and being a workaholic and doing their jobs and so on. It's more the women who had strong Virgo that suffered in this type of scenario. So strong Virgo women have missed out on their purest expression because of the boxing in of the patriarchal ideal for women. The archetype for a strong Virgo person is actually the priest or the priestess, working with the cycles of nature, re-establishing harmony, dedicating yourself to whatever your sacred work happens to be. Like I said, Virgo men have been able to throw themselves into their sacred work, generally speaking, but the women not so much, and this has been difficult. So I hope that you're getting the gist of what it is that is the energy that Virgo carries and how it is best expressed in the world. So with so many planets in the sign of Virgo now, these are the big themes for us all, not just women, not just men who have strong Virgo in the chart, but for us all. We're feeling this energy of Virgo very, very strongly right now with all the planets there. This means that we are going to feel more aligned and connected with the cycles and rhythms of the earth. So it is a great thing that people are rising up and demanding action regarding those forest fires in the lungs of our planet, the Amazon, right? Amazon jungle. So we're going to be very connected with all these planets in the sign of Virgo to doing something, being proactive about, especially with Mars there. Mars is about being proactive, about caring for our planet, about working with the cycles, about having a system of honoring our Earth Mother. So yes, it's hopefully we can all generate this energy in a positive way and do something about this quite disastrous situation in the Amazon. For us all, this Virgo season is about giving to others and sometimes ourselves as well, in a very impersonal and impartial way, not with that sort of empathic quality that sort of really weighs heavily on us. I mean, if you immerse yourself in people's problems all day long and you happen to be a Pisces person, you go to bed and you're utterly exhausted. Do it more from a Virgo perspective now that we have all these planets in Virgo, where you can give and support and help people, but you don't get too attached. You can pull back and be very impartial, and you can actually achieve much more that way. Your soul is not being drained quite so much, so we can incorporate that energy into our lives as well. It's about, now this season is about restoring balance to areas that are out of whack. Hello, Amazon jungle, once again. But in your own personal life, this is where you can direct and motivate yourself to make balanced situations that are not helping, that are not working, that are not functioning right. Be that a relationship, be that a work situation, be it something in your home. You can set things right now, and you will have the motivation of Mars, the aesthetic appeal of Venus, the knowledge and wisdom of Mercury to support you in making a new beginning, in setting something right in your world. And learning to connect well with our sacred work. This is the big theme of Virgo. And we can spend time, doing our sacred work now. We can invest in our sacred work. We might even be able to, with this new moon, establish some sort of new sacred work, begin some sort of new sacred work. And I just need to reiterate, because sacred work is kind of a woo-woo term, isn't it? Sacred work is doing something that makes your heart sing. You'll notice that Leo is the sign prior to Virgo, and then we move into Libra. Leo is about our heart and what makes our heart sing. Now it's about once the sun has moved from Leo, which is about our heart and what makes our heart sing, the sun has moved from Leo into Virgo, it's about doing the work, the sacred work that makes our heart sing. We know what it is now. We've discovered our creative expression that makes us sing for joy. And now the sun moves into doing the work regarding what makes us sing for joy as the sun progresses through these two signs. So it's very much about learning to connect with what makes our heart sing. That is our sacred work, so to speak. And as I said, we have support from the universe for all these things right now, so lots to be celebrated. Where is this coming from? Well, we have this beautiful trine coming from Uranus. A trine is a healthy, supportive aspect where good things can just flow to us easily without even any effort on our behalf. And this is going to be sudden, unexpected, very liberating effects concerning how we give, how we serve, and restoring balance to things. So we might find that with this new moon comes an empowered, way, or an idea, or some sort of liberated way of restoring balance to the earth and putting out the fires in the Amazon, or whatever it happens to be in your own life. You might get a sudden inspiration. Uranus is the planet of inspiration for how you can fix a problem in your life, for how you can make something right, for how you can move ahead with your sacred work. It's a planet of inspiration, liberation, truth, and the unexpected coming to our aid right now. Yay, thank you, Uranus. Not only that, but one of the key things that we have seen playing out all year is the Pluto, Saturn, and South Node connection, and this is making a trine. An Earth sign trine we're having. A very serious attention being put on the Earth and Earth energy right now, but there is this trine to this conglomeration of planets in Capricorn, and this is making a sextile to Neptune, which is opposing this energy, loosely opposing this energy. So as you can see, it's what we call a wedge shape that is being created. There is an opposition between Neptune and all this hoo-ha in Virgo, and the way out of this hoo-ha in Virgo and any tension that it may create, I don't think it will. I think it'll resolve a lot of things and fix a lot of things. But if we are looking for a way out of our situation next week that we find ourselves in, whether we're in a situation of tension or frustration or whatever, the way out for us will be to focus on this. The head of the wedge. There's an opposition, and this creates like a wedge of cake, yummy chocolate cake. And this is the way out of the wedge. So if you are experiencing tension next week in any, or around the 30th when we have this new moon, in any way, shape or form, you focus on what this represents. What's that? What does it represent? I've been preaching this all year, so everyone get ready to roll your eyes again as I reiterate that Pluto, Saturn and the South Node is about purging. Yay, here she goes again on her bandwagon. It is release. It is about getting rid of past habits, past thought patterns, ideas, fears. Saturn is fear. Any past sort of hierarchical structures and outmoded beliefs that are holding you back. So release those things now. Do whatever spiritual practices you like to undertake around the time of the new moon. And you're going to be supported big time in releasing the things that are blocking you and holding you back. And that is going to be your way out of any tension in your life over the weekend to come. So that might be through doing art therapy, kickboxing, dancing, dance therapy. You might have spiritual mechanisms and visualization techniques that you incorporate to help you release old unwanted behaviors and patterns. All of this stuff is good. Journal, meet with a friend and, get it off your chest, whatever. It's time, okay? It's all being activated again with the new moon this week, so I emphasize that strongly once more. But I'm not going to go on and on about it because you've all heard me speaking about it before. It is the major theme for 2019, purging and release of old, outworn habits and so forth. So let's take a look now at each sign and what we are actually working with in terms of the Virgo new moon. So if you happen to be Virgo rising, we're going to start with you guys. If you're Virgo rising, you're going to be all about focusing on new beginnings regarding the self. This is the first house for you. It's about your ability to survive, your ability to thrive and be successful in life. And your whole life journey is usually summed up by what we see in the first house. And so with the new moon here, this is where you're going to get new beginnings. Not only that, but you're going to be able to restore balance to something to do with yourself. So maybe you've been feeling out of whack in your body, like you're not physically fit or healthy enough and your diet hasn't been good and you're like, yucky, I feel awful, I've got to restore balance here. I've got to get things back in line. I've got to perfect things again. That can be a big theme for you in the week ahead. Giving of yourself without attachment. So you are going to be able to give to yourself when this new moon is happening in your sign. It's about giving in a detached way, a sort of non-conditional way to yourself, I am going to give myself love this week. I'm going to give myself what I need and what I crave. I'm going to be kind to myself this week. Very important that you give your act of priestly or priestessly service to yourself. So focus there, you Virgo rising people, and you will be really, really benefited in the week ahead. So give to yourself, your body and your soul's journey, and you're going to be blessed. Okay, let's go backwards here. Let's make Virgo the second house. Leo rising. For Leo rising people, the big focus for you this week with the new moon is new beginnings in financial areas and with money, material possessions, finance, physical resources that support your journey, your values and your self-worth. And how's this going to be implemented? You're going to do it through restoring balance. Maybe your finances have been way out of whack. Maybe you've been living on credit cards for way too long. Certainly Mercury rules credit cards, and you like, time for a new beginning. Let's pay off this credit card debt somehow. Let's cut up our credit cards and let us not live on credit cards any longer. You put things back into perspective and into balance and harmony with regard to your finances now, Leo rising people. You can give to your sacred work here as well. If you're a Leo rising person, maybe your sacred work might be helping other people to balance their finances, or maybe your sacred work is creating a beautiful, comfortable home, or practicing hospitality, or having a lovely garden, or some sort of creating beautiful perfumes, or something to do with second house things, which is the things of the senses, the touch, taste, sight, sound and smell, and so you might be making beautiful soy wax candles, and that is your sense of giving to the world, making the world a much more perfumed place, one candle at a time or something. You're going to be focused now on some sort of new beginning or new endeavor with regard to your sacred service in a first house manner, something to do with sensuality, beauty, not so much refinement, but sort of that earthy, tactile, sensory beauty. So that's what we're seeing for Leo rising. The next sign we'll look at is Cancer rising. Oh, get my wheel to work. There we go. Cancer rising is going to put this energy in the third house. There it is, all down there. Boom, 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 in the third house for Cancer rising people. So third house is going to be all about activating for you guys in a big way with new beginnings and a new moon, the energy of communication, learning, teaching, writing, speaking, advertising, short journeys, small business. These things are all third house things, and so you are going to be able to restore balance to this area in some of your life in some way now with this new moon. Some sort of new beginning is going to give you the capacity to restore balance. Maybe you have been writing articles for some sort of journal or magazine or online blog or something for years without getting any remuneration, and you're like, screw this. I've had enough of this imbalanced situation where I keep giving and giving and giving. Virgo is to give. I keep giving and I'm not getting the appropriate remuneration for my time and energy and effort. I'm going to restore balance here. I'm going to ask for remuneration, or I'm going to walk and I'm going to leave. So if you are Cancer rising, this could be a theme in some way. Now, it mightn't be that you're writing, it could be that you're speaking, or it could be that you're teaching, or it might even be that you're learning something from someone and you feel that you're not getting your money's worth for what you've paid to learn something. So you decide to restore balance with regard to these realms. You might also find that you are giving of yourself now without attachment to siblings, because this is the house of siblings, and you might find that you, in a very kind but detached and impartial way, you are helping your brother or helping your sister or some relative, actually would be seen for the third house, to rise in life, to do better in life, or to get by. So you could be, maybe offering them a interest-free loan, or you might, because because Venus is there and money will be a theme, so you might be offering some sort of interest-free loan, or you might be offering to help them move house or do some sort of practical service. This is very Virgo, towards your relatives or a brother or a sister, and give them some sort of a hand now if you're Cancer rising. Now, if you are Gemini rising, this puts the Virgo energy in your fourth house of home, heritage, roots, lineage, family. Fourth house is the legacy that you would like to leave the world. Sorry, it's the legacy that you inherit. The 10th house is the legacy we like to leave the world. So this is the legacy that you now carry with you from your ancestors, fourth house. It's also the house connected to the earth. So here, for you guys, for Gemini rising people, Virgo is in a very strong placement for it, because Virgo is the earth mother. Remember, I spoke about that in the intro. Virgo is the earth mother, and it's an earth sign, and the fourth house is about the earth. It's about connection to the land, to properties. It's about connection to minerals and oils and gases. Neptune and the 12th house are also connected to oils and gases, but any type of substance or something that we take from the earth is a fourth house energy. So very much for you Gemini rising people, this is the theme. Doing ritual, earth type rituals, is very, very powerful for you Gemini people. So at certain times when we have energies playing out in the sky, or changes in seasons in the earth, for you guys, doing some sort of honoring of that particular change is actually a real something you Geminis get off on, actually, to be honest. It's very much connected to who you are with this placement. So right now you're going to be restoring balance in these areas. Maybe your home has felt really like heavy, like the energy there is just icky and heavy. Maybe your garden's full of weeds and you haven't given it any attention for weeks on end. This is the time you're going to be restoring balance. You might do some clearing in your house, put on some incense or play some really beautiful music or use a singing bowl or something. You might like to get out in the garden and pull those weeds out and make it more balanced, more harmonious, your home environment now. So there's restoring of balance to that area as well as to family. This is the house correlated with our family heritage and roots and our lineage. As you can see, it's the lowest point, the fourth house. In the wheel chart, it is about our roots, our heritage, our lineage. So it's very much a time when you can put those things back in balance. Maybe you haven't been talking to your mum. Maybe you've been sort of feeling a bit on the outer with your family. Now's the time to put all that back into balance and restore it with this energy playing out here. You can also give of yourself quite impartially to the family. So you might be in a position now where you can actually give support to your own family, your husband and your children, or maybe you've got a family of fur babies, and you can actually give yourself more now to those people or those pets with a bit more impartialness and support. So what might this look like? You might be able to, let's say, offer some practical Virgo assistance to your parents who need to move home, and you come and help move that big old heavy fridge or something. Or maybe you might like to do some sort of you could actually do some sort of work towards activism, which is seen by Uranus here making a trine to the new moon in Virgo. Activism regarding the planet and the earth right now, and how we can help and support the earth right now. So this is also something that can be supported. You're going to be able to offer service to that realm too right now. Giving of yourself and some kind of service connected to the earth, the home, the roots, the lineage, and the family. We've got Taurus rising is going to put the energy of this beautiful new moon, and I believe it is very beautiful, in the fifth house. So you are starting something new with regard to your creative expression right now. Maybe your children, or the way you shine in the world, your self-expression, also pleasure, also romance, also love, also risk-taking is seen by the fifth house. So if you're Taurus rising, you can start something fresh with those sorts of ventures connected to those things. Not only that, but you'll be restoring balance in this area. So maybe you've been, out at odds with your kids, or your kids have been really fractious, and you've just been like, had enough, and I'm going to lock myself in my bedroom. Well, during this month, you might actually make more of an endeavor to be practically connected to your children if you happen to be Taurus rising. You might like to say, let's go on a picnic next weekend, and let's make sure that we invest in one another, and you can restore balance to what may have been a very fractious situation with your children. You can give of yourself to your children with impartiality. So, let's say like me, you've got 3 kids. You might be able to say, right, this coming month, I'm going to have a date one night a week for the next 3 weeks with each of you children. So this Friday, I'm going to take my oldest child. We're going to go out and go 10-pin bowling and then go to a Mexican restaurant for tea. The following Friday, we're going to do whatever, and you work out a way to give impartially and fairly to all of your children in order to restore this balance. So that's one thing that can be going on. And of course, it's the house of love and romance too. And you might be restoring some situation of imbalance with your lover, with a boyfriend, with a girlfriend, and this is a really good time to give to that energy impartially, like not expecting anything in return, just saying, hey, look, I really love you. I'm going to, I'm sending you a bunch of roses, or I'm going to buy your, I don't know, favorite new tie that you saw the other day when we were out shopping. You just give impartially and generously to a lover, or you restore balance in some sort of fractious situation with a lover even. These are some of the ways this can happen. Your true service, if you have Virgo here, can be seen from this point as well. So for you guys, the Taurus rising people, creatively expressing yourself is actually your path of sacred service to the world. Lucky you guys, because this is a house of very strong creativity. So your creativity is your path of service. And we all know that Taurus rising people are very, very creative, and they're very aesthetically clever. So this is partially because Virgo happens to be their 5th house of creative expression. You'll be very detailed in your creative expression, in your artistry, or however it expresses with you in your written word, or any practical endeavors that you undertake. And so this is your path to sacred service. You might get some new ideas now, if you're Taurus rising, about how you can serve in creative ways. Now, the next sign is Aries rising. If you happen to be Aries rising, then this energy is falling in your 6th house. And of course, the 6th house is connected to our health and our well-being. It's connected to routines, to daily work. It's also a house where we see indicators of illness. Again, it's very Virgo. It's all about service here. So for you guys, for Aries rising, then you're going to be very focused this month on that area of your chart, restoring balance to your daily life, to your work, to your routines. If you're Aries rising, then you do carry the potential to be quite an energetic type person, and so you might be restoring some balance to your health and well-being and your exercise routine. You might be able to sort of give as well in this area to people who are more, I'll use the term more lowly than you. Not that I think any person is better than the other, far from it, but people who are in more disadvantaged situations. So people who are do not have as much money and are struggling, people who are not as well, not as healthy as you, people who are maybe at work who are in lower positions, not as much prestige, let's say. These are people that you can give to right now, and in a very Virgo-like way. It will be your act of service to help these people. In fact, your sacred work may very well be connected to fixing problems in life, Aries rising, because this is where your Virgo falls. And now you're going to get lots of ideas for how you can fix problems for various people, including yourself even, any problems in your own life too. You can get a lot of new invigorated ideas and inspirations for how you can fix problems in your life and the life of people that you encounter every day. And of course, this can be enemies as well. The sixth house is connected to enemies, so you might be able to sort of restore balance with an enemy or someone who's been making your life hell for the last little while. You might be able to actually right some wrongs there or fix things up while this beautiful energy is actually playing out in your sixth house. So next sign we're going to look at is Pisces. For those of us who are Pisces rising, this is going to be falling in our seventh house. There we are. And of course, the seventh house is connected to other people. Here is us. This is us. First house is me, me, me. This is as far away from us as you can get in the horoscope. You can see they're opposite. They're the furthest away. Boom. It is about the other. First house is self. Seventh house is the other. So therefore, for Pisces people, it's all about other people. This is where the energy goes. And you're going to be focused on relationships, on justice, on business partnerships and collaborations and clients, on marriage, on spouse. It's also a house connected to art and refined culture. So this is where the focus is for Pisces this month, which means they're going to be restoring balance in these areas. Maybe if you are in a committed partnership, maybe things have felt really out of whack, like you're giving. Being Pisces rising, you're the empathic giver, and you feel burnt out because you're giving so much from your soul, from your heart, and you say, okay, come on, you're my partner, you're my spouse, how about let's even this out a bit? How about let's make this fairer, and I won't have to give so much, and we can balance things regarding, say, our domestic life or caring for the kids or something. You can restore balance to your life now with regard to your partnerships in marriage. And of course, committed partnerships in the 7th house is all about it's all about the nitty-gritty of life. The 5th house is love and romance. The 7th house is about the hard duties of life, paying the mortgage and doing the domestic work and raising the kids and making ends meet. It's the much more committed, contractual type of relationship is what we see from the 7th house. So you're going to restore balance to those sorts of things. You're also going to be able to restore balance to some sort of business partnership that may have got a little off kilter. Maybe you have a friend and you were getting a friend who you interacted with in a business sense. They inspired you, you inspired them. Maybe you did a bit of marketing together or whatever, and something went wrong. And now is the season when you can actually restore that, put it back to good health, as Virgo is about restoring and perfecting and making things right again. So that's something that can happen with business partnerships and collaborations. It's also an area where you're going to be able to give of yourself without any type of, personal attachment. So, you might be able to, you might have the energy within you to give more unconditionally to partners, to a business, or to the arts as well. You might be very much inspired to attend an art gallery or opening or an exhibition or something like that, and you can actually support that physically with your presence or support it with some money or some funding or something. You'll be very much looking to invest or experience even the arts, or maybe have a new beginning in some realm of sophisticated culture seen by the 7th house. For Pisces rising people, you need more than just this going on to trigger relationship coming in, but it can be a trigger. In Vedic astrology, when we have 3 or more planets aspecting a house, it gives that house a real stir, the energy is amped up and vibrating all around. So for Pisces people, if you are looking for partnership, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 planets in Virgo right now. This can trigger the potential for a relationship to come into your life. Now that could be a business partnership, it could be a potential marriage partner, but with this energy playing out, you need something happening in your own personal chart as well, and certainly a reading could help you look at that. But if you're Pisces rising, then this energy is of potential, shall we say, is increased in your life by the presence of all this intense energy in your 7th house of relationships right now. Not only that, we're going to be looking now at Aquarius. Aquarius is going to put this energy in the 8th house. So there's a lot of focus for you guys this month on the 8th house if you're Aquarius rising. The 8th house is all about anything that's hidden. It's all about community resources, actually. So this is an area that is going to be highlighted for you guys. Death and rebirth, transformation. So I would say with this energy playing out for Aquarius rising in the 8th house, you're going to go through a big change this month. This is your month where you're really going to alter how you're doing life and who you are and your understanding of the world too. Maybe your sexual life or your intimacy with a partner might alter quite significantly and change. Maybe you might receive an inheritance. Anything from the occult or the underworld that you are involved in, such as studying astrology or looking into mysticism and that sort of thing, it can be a source of real transformation for you now as well. But specifically, you're going to be looking to restore balance and connect to the earth through this transformational period. So there might be some sort of ceremony, because this 8th house is connected to ceremonies as well as the 6th house. It can give you a connection to some sort of ceremony that really alters your perspective and transforms you in some way. You might find that you are giving to other people in some sort of impartial way. You might be someone in a position where you can leave in your will a grant for some hospital or something like that, or you might like to leave sort of a, what is it called when you go, a scholarship, that's the word I'm looking for. You might be in a position where you can give in an impartial way, very Virgo, to some sort of cause or a scholarship situation or something. It's very much about other people's money, and you could be the other person leaving benevolent opportunities for other people in the future. And this can be a really good method for you guys. It can be the way that you can restore balance in the world. Virgo likes to restore balance to areas that are out of whack. And so with this Virgo placement, you might get a new idea, new moon, new ideas, new intentions that you can set. You might get a new idea to sort of perhaps leave some sort of a legacy or inheritance, or change your will in some way. There can be a transformation or an alteration of that. And in doing so, you might restore balance. Let's say you're writing a will, and it had been all in favor of your son, and suddenly you realize, you know what? I think I need to make sure that it's equal and it's fair and well played out here. So you restore balance, and you share it around between 3 sons instead of just one. So there's a restoring of balance to wills, money, government funds as well. You might find that crops up for you too, that you can, some sort of a grant or some sort of a government funding can be restore balance to your life perhaps. And you are going to be able to learn to connect with your area of service right now, with all this energy of the skies focused on Virgo. You're going to be able to connect with your area of service, and this might be through some sort of 8th house thing. Psychology and therapy are 8th house things. You might find that you can find your real sense of service in that realm. Or you might find that teaching some sort of esoteric practices is your field of service that you can really delight in. Or studying astrology becomes your sacred work. Virgo in the 8th house. Lots of Virgo people become astrologers actually, because they love detail. They love getting down to the nitty gritty. They love research, and they like to do things well and perfectly, and have reasons for things too. So in the 8th house, and Aquarius rising, of course, is connected to astrology as well. You might find that astrology could very much become the center of your sacred work right now. Even if it's just a hobby, it might become your passionate motivation for life. Virgo, all this stellium energy playing out in the 8th house can bring that about. So if you are and a Capricorn rising person, well, this energy for you is falling in the 9th house. So the 9th house is about travel, and with all this energy playing out here, you may get the opportunity to travel, and I would say that it'll be for the purposes of some kind of sacred work of your own. So this could be, maybe you've been really passionate about ancient Egyptian archaeology, and so off you go off to Egypt, and you really start learning so much more and digging deep in the earth, doing a bit of archaeology, very Virgo. Virgo's that earth sign, and you start learning about ancient cultures and ancient belief systems, and you travel. All very 9th house. 9th house is higher learning. It's about different cultures and belief systems, and it's also about travel. So things could manifest in that way for you. Oops, sorry about that. It's about adventures, so you guys might get the impetus to have some sort of fabulous adventure now, or some new idea pops up in your sphere that gives you the chance to have a new adventure. You might also find that there's some sort of inspirational figure or teacher that enters your life now who can really transform you, and you begin something new. Let's say, well, for example, let's say you are a first-time viewer of my astrology videos, and you think, hey, this actually really aligned with me. I love this stuff. I'm going to really tune in more to Kesenya's videos. And you start something new moon, with regard to some sort of person who can be your teacher. And so that's one way this can play out. You discover a new teacher, and from then on you're building and learning and growing. Some new beginning with regard to teachers or philosophy or inspirational figures or cultural beliefs and knowledge and wisdom, all these things. But because it's Virgo, you're going to actually be restoring balance to this area. So maybe it's possible that you did some higher learning, you started a university course and then thought, can't finish this, it's not my bag, baby. So instead of chucking it in, you now think, you know what, I need to restore balance to this. I need to do that final 6 months of that course, and then I'll get on with my life. And so you go back and you get stuck into finishing that course, and you restore the balance in an area of higher learning. Or maybe there was some kind of difficult situation with an inspirational figure or a mentor in your circle or sphere of influence, and through restoring balance and harmony to that situation, there's a sense of relief that you make things right again. You fix a problem that you might have had with some sort of teacher or guru. So you restore balance to areas that are out of whack. And this could also be that you restore balance to some sort of area that's out of whack with regard to travel as well. So, you might have gone traveling and then something goes wrong, and this time when this new moon occurs, you find out, you get some sort of idea for how to fix and resolve a problem that you had when you were traveling, or in your travel preparations for when you go traveling. So these are the things seen by the 9th house. Now I just need to also point out, Virgo in the 9th house can mean that your sacred work has something to do with 9th house things. This might be that your sacred work is being a travel writer, being some sort of inspirational figure, being, some sort of benevolent or philanthropic figure to somebody else. It is the house connected to those sorts of activities. So this might be your sacred work, to give in that way to the world somehow. Now let's take a look at Sagittarius rising. Sagittarius it's not going to stay. Sagittarius rising is going to see this energy playing out in the 10th house, which is about our career, our worldly achievements, the legacy that we want to leave the world, what we want to be known for when we die. Our public image is seen from this house, our ambition and our connection to authority figures. So this is the area that you're going to be making some sort of new intention, focusing your energy right now, Sagittarius rising. Your career, you'll be all energized and amped up about how to make things work for you better with a career. Maybe you'll be motivated to finish that project, or get really stuck into some sort of career idea that you've had, or focus your intention more detailed, in a more detailed way, in a more intent way on your career right now. You might also be restoring balance to something that's got out of whack with some sort of authority figure. This is the house of bosses. So maybe you've been sort of out of whack with a boss, and now you need to sort of make things fine again and restore the harmony, restore the balance. You might be very much for you guys, for Sagittarius rising, your area of service and sacred work is connected to your career. You guys particularly will want to be in careers that feel fulfilling to you and feel like that they are part of your sacred service to the world. So becoming a CEO of a company for a Sagittarius rising person can actually feel like that is their sacred work, that is their mission. It could be that being in a position of authority in some way in life is actually part of your sacred work. And of course, if you are Sagittarius rising, you do carry the skills of being a good leader, an inspirational leader, because that's the nature of Sagittarius. So you will do it in a way that is very detailed, very thorough, very organized, as is the nature of Virgo. There's a lot of potential here for you to really be an inspirational authority figure. And you might be inspired along those lines now with all this energy in Virgo. You're going to be very, very amped up and be able to connect more now with your sacred service, whatever that might look like for you in whatever realm. So now let's take a look at the Scorpio rising energy for the week ahead, with the new moon falling in the sign of Virgo, which happens to be their 11th house. Now the 11th house is all about our friendships. It's all about our allies, our communities, and our place in communities, but also clubs and groups. It's about also about our hopes and wishes. It's about teamwork. It's about our rewards and gains for the hard efforts we've put in the 10th house usually. So for all of you guys who are Scorpio rising, this is where you're going to be making some new beginnings. You might make some new friends right now, or you might restore balance with some old friendships that have really got out of kilter, out of whack, and you might be like, reconnecting, rebalancing things in regard to some friendships that you had, but also maybe some clubs and groups that you've been involved in too. Maybe your dreams have got off track. Maybe your ambitions have really gone down a rabbit hole and you're like, oh dear, I need to realign. I need to redirect my hopes and wishes and dreams. And you can certainly do that now. And with Virgo as your 11th house, your hopes and wishes and dreams will be very thorough and detailed. You'll also have the ability to give very impartially towards your hopes and dreams and ambitions. So Scorpio people can give very wisely, shall we say, towards their ambitions, and they can really make a lot of effort and hard work towards realizing their ambitions. A lot of Scorpio people can be very successful because of this energy of this energy of Virgo falling in their 11th house of hopes and dreams and ambitions. This is where you guys are going to learn to connect with your service to the world, your sacred work. And your sacred work can come in some 11th house manner, such as perhaps, working for other groups of people, maybe in an old person's home, or maybe working in with some sort of sporting organization or some sort of club, and you offering your service to the world through that. For Virgo in the 11th house people, it's very much sacred work is about the greater good, humanitarianism, the vision for the collective rather than the very personal approach. So your sacred service is going to be very focused, Scorpio rising people, on how can you serve the greater collective of people in the world. You're also going to be very invested in restoring balance to the greater good as well. So you are the kind of people who might be going and fighting this rainforest fire in the Amazon. You guys are the kind of people who will be passionate enough to march regarding some sort of something that's out of whack, something that's out of kilter in the world, some sort of injustice. Because Virgo wants to restore balance, and you guys have the big picture here. You want to restore balance to the greater good, the humanitarian causes. So indulge in that now. It's very much your time to do so. You might start some new venture. You might join some new group or some new club that's all about restoring balance to some problem in the world that is really out of whack. So you can enjoy that energy. It will bring a lot of momentum into your life this month. You'll notice it particularly. Finally, if you happen to be Libra rising, thank you firstly for waiting till the end. But if you are Libra rising, then this energy of Virgo is falling in your 12th house. And the 12th house is very much connected to overseas travel. The 12th house is all about escaping, having a holiday, going on a retreat. It's about charity. It's about compassion. It's about empathic giving, which is kind of the opposite of what Virgo is all about, which is that detached, impartial giving energy. The 12th house can be very connected, a bit like Virgo, to our sacred service. It can be connected to anything that inspires us, like divinely inspired music or books or song or dance, that sort of thing. It's about spirituality. It's also a house of healing and inspired creativity. It is also a house of loss in the Vedic system as well. So the 12th house here, when we've got all this energy of new beginnings, new moons, and a big intense focus, means that this is where your energy is going to be directed, Libra, over the coming month or so. And so you might get the opportunity to travel overseas. Suddenly plans might go your way, and you might find yourself on a slow boat to China or something, as they say, or a fast plane somewhere, preferably. You might have some sort of holiday, some sort of escape, that could really be quite fun and enjoyable for you. You might get involved in some sort of charity activity too. But you are going to be very compassionate. Libra people, we know you're compassionate, kind, giving people. And this is because Virgo falls in your 12th house. You have the ability to give to others very empathically and also very impartially because of Virgo being here. For you, it is going to be important this month to connect to the earth, particularly you in some sort of spiritual manner. So with your setting of intentions with the new moon, if that's what you do, make a ceremony out of it, honor it, do some sort of ritual around it, because that's a very 12th house spiritual activity to do. Do some sort of visualization technique, connect to the higher realms, get some sort of divinely inspired download or dream happening, You're going to want to restore balance to any kind of, area of your life that's out of whack, which is the energy of Virgo, by doing some sort of spiritual practice, meditating, yoga, maybe having some sort of spiritual retreat. This is for the purposes right now this month of getting back in alignment. So it's a really good month, and I would highly encourage you to do so, to connect back to the earth, to walk barefoot on the grass, to sit out in the sun if the weather allows it on the earth, and meditate while you are outside, connecting to the earth and the sky. You will find that in doing so, you will feel more balanced and harmonious yourself. You'll feel more connected. You will actually might end up being quite inspired with regard to what your sacred work on this earth is. You might get a new idea for how to move your particular sacred work forward. And for you, it's probably got something to do with spirituality and compassion. It's in these realms for Libra people that we often find that your sacred work lies. So that might be, Virgo is connected to pets. It might be offering some sort of compassion to pets and volunteering at the RSPCA, or doing the old greyhound racing dog adoption programs or something like that run. We've got a program like that runs in Australia. I'm not sure if it runs in the rest of the world, but doing some sort of service and charity and compassionate work to things to do with Virgo, which is pets and people who are less fortunate, offering compassion and service there, offering love there, and you'll be doing it from a place of spiritual devotion. So there's going to be a lot of spiritual satisfaction for you guys, for Libra rising people, to give in these realms of life, to the 12th house, compassion, kindness, types of healing and restoration. And also for you Libra rising people, don't forget that you've got this beautiful trine of the unexpected and the liberated energy of Uranus playing into this energy as well. So you might find that you get some sort of epiphany, some sort of very spiritual download or insight about your life, or about how you can serve, how you can do your sacred work. It might come in all of a sudden, a beautiful rush, because of this gorgeous trine from Uranus. So thanks for walking through the stars with me and exploring what might be unfolding for each sign with all this beautiful new moon beginning energy of service and sacred work and giving and connection to the earth in the sign of Virgo. I look forward to joining you again next week. Let's close by thanking the universe for its love. Universal energy of love. I want to say a prayer for the situation in the Amazon. We pray for restoration. We pray for balance. We pray for harmony to be restored as much as possible in that part of the world, as quickly as possible too. We thank you for this new moon occurring in the sign of Virgo, which is about our restoration and about making things right and fixing problems. The timing is perfect with the situation in our earth right now. Help us to work with the energies to create the best outcome for every situation we're in, personally and collectively. Thank you for your love that shines the way each month, and may we pay attention to the stars and their message to us this week and in the weeks to come. And so it is. Thanks so much for joining me. It has been a delight, and I look forward to another video with you next week.